Every who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton. But where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and no prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
This episode is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. What do you bring to a holiday party? Simple, a bottle of Casamigos. Because nothing gets the party started like a Casamigos margarita, which isn't just for summer. In fact, it's the perfect pour all year round. Casamigos is the gift that always feels right, because anything goes with my Casamigos. Please drink responsibly. Imported by Casamigos Spirits Company, White Plains, New York. Casamigos Tequila, 40% alcohol by volume.
No one should have to choose between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Purina is helping to create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters through the Purple Leash Project, so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
Welcome in, everybody. This is the gut reaction to the Atlanta Falcons having lost I've lost count now. Is it one for the thumb? 5th straight game and falling to 3-7, having been swept at home by the Carolina Panthers. This was a microcosm. I think that's the word I've been looking for the last couple times, talking about just one situation to sum things up. There were a couple of those in this game. I feel like this was a microcosm of the Falcons' season as a whole. You see the really good in the first half, 21-7, they're dominating things. Things are going well. Then you see the really bad in the second half. And what does that boil down to? Well, a lot of it has to boil down to coaching. A lot of it has to boil down to depth, because there is a lack of it. But it's always something, isn't it? We got to find a way. You know what we find a way to do every week in Atlanta? We find a way to lose. Special teams keeps biting them in the butt. The Kirk Cousins thing has been a disaster, just an absolute disaster. I just put it in writing. I posted it before we came on live. He's not even worth the $10 million extra you're spending on him to have him on the roster this year. Not even worth that, let alone the NFL's best backup. Are you freaking kidding me? Guys that don't want to be there don't make good backups, and he looks like he doesn't want to be there when he's out there. It's just bad. We're here together in this. I wanted to get some things off of your chest, and now I want to break down some of the game. There were some things I was really pleased with. I write a lot of my takeaways during the game, and you'll notice some positivity in there. And there were some things that I didn't even get to as far as what were 3 big things that we wanted to see fixed from last week that could be fixed, that were fairly obvious. All 3 of them were addressed, and they made a difference. We'll get into that. But I want to say hello to some folks that came in here nice and early, like Keenan Hill. He says, fire Raheem, fire Zach, fire Marquise now. I don't know. In this day and age, do you think Arthur Blank has the stones to fire Raheem Morris after a season and a half? In the middle of the season, after just a season and a half? I don't do it. I think he'll catch enough heat for doing it after 2 seasons. You already see people coming on there. Oh, this guy got this many. Why doesn't this person get that much? It's a double standard. I don't know that he's got the stones to do it. You know what? And really, the only point to do it would be to see if you want Jeff Ulbrich as your head coach, really. So I think that's part of it. Marcos says another coaching collapse. All you had to do is run the ball, but we had to show that Kirk could win it with his arm. Oh, it goes longer than that. It happens way before that. The special teams, you see the special teams was a big one. And poor Natron Brooks out there was making mistakes in every phase of the game. I posted, y'all OGs will remember Charles Dimry. Charles Dimry infamously gave up 5 touchdowns to Jerry Rice back, 88, 89, somewhere when I was a kid in there. And that was the kind of day Natron had. And the thing is he doubled down by making it worse in special teams. Why are guys like that out there on special teams? There's got to be somebody out there. Kobe Bryant makes a good tackle. Did we see Kobe Bryant again? I don't remember seeing Kobe out there. I remember seeing every single pass. And by the way, this was a second week in a row the Falcons defense gave up a franchise record. Last week, it was a franchise worst 323 yards of rushing. They'd only given up more than 300 yards rushing 4 other times in 60-something years. This week, 444 yards passing from Bryce Young, franchise record for the Carolina Panthers. And it seemed like poor number 35, we saw the back of his jersey on 400 of them. Depth is a big problem out there. It's not his fault that he's out there. But why not Kobe? Why not Kobe Bryant? Michael's coming in a couple times. I certainly appreciate you, Michael. He says, time to fire Raheem and the rest of the coaching staff. Yeah, I mean, there's guys that are out there doing it. I think Ulbrich, for the most part, has done a decent job. Has done a pretty good job. Has been an improvement. But when there's turnovers, when there's 3 and outs, when there's short possessions, and when you are shorthanded on defense at the linebacker position, at the cornerback position, bad things can happen. And when you're forced to, and I don't know if they're forced to be honest, I don't know that they have to go live and die by the blitz right now, because right now they were living by it. They had some crucial stops with the blitz. They were getting in Bryce Young's face, but they made a play at the end of regulation where they caught Caden Ellis coming inside, and a little screen pass out there was big. Huge. Yeah. And John Harrell, thanks for being a member, my friend. And Michael, thanks for the super chat. So boy, Natron Brooks is a man. Penix has 0 heart. I don't know the extent. I've had a bone bruise on my knees, and I had to go back in for x-rays to make sure that they hadn't collapsed. I did it on hyperextensions. It was horrendous, but I don't know. I'm not going to call him out for that, but when he was out, I didn't think he was coming back in. It was like, okay, he's out. And Keenan says, keep Ulbrich, and Corey says, I'm ready to go get rid of him. Yusef says, I've officially accepted that we're just not good enough this year, and I'm at peace with that. Pierce was worth the trade. 2 more sacks today. Look like he's going to be a dude. Yeah, I think overall the trade has been fine. Again, I don't at the time, and I say all the time, at least get on me for things I say, not necessarily what I don't say. I'm wrong enough that you don't have to put words in my mouth. And I wasn't making big proclamations for James Pierce Jr. What I said at the time, and I will go to my grave saying this, no matter what happens with James Pierce, was that it wasn't an overspend to address a need at the time. And I still don't think it is. And I think the trade is going to end up being okay. If James Pierce was coming out this year, he'd be mocked to the Falcons in the top 10. That ended up being a wash. But the Falcons, the question is like, you ask yourself, y'all, are they good enough? Or are they just being held back? You see times when they're plenty good enough. You see other teams make adjustments. You see the Falcons don't. I always take a screenshot at halftime. I take a screenshot at halftime just so I can look up. It's always hard to find halftime stats. So I take a screenshot of the halftime stats. Dominated. 17 first downs to 7, 94 rushing yards. It was 257 total yards to 141. They had 2 sacks, no interceptions. They had 3 extra minutes of time of possession. Dominated them. You get almost through with the third quarter, and it says 2 touches for Bijan Robinson and no yards. It's and Justin says the culture. Just what a soft culture. The Falcons players don't care if they lose. Lots of business decisions being made in today's game makes me sick. And Kirk Cousins about got Darnell Mooney and Drake London killed on a couple of hospital balls. That doesn't make me any happier. And Michael coming in twice saying we need a better coach immediately, and appreciate the super. And Mike, following up with my question with a super, he's also a member. You see the little bird on his next to his name in the chat. He says he's not going to fire Raheem during the season. I don't know that he's going to either. I just don't think in this climate he's going to fire Raheem Morris in November. I think he can do it in the offseason. 5-13. What's the total record? Well, the total record's not that bad. 8-9, 11. So what's that make? 11 and 6 plus 9, 15, 11 and 15. That's not horrible. 5-13 though. And they just, again, the find a way. The only thing they find a way to do is they find a way to lose every single week. I said it last week. The culture of this team is losing. I'm not quite as radio shock jock. And it's actually still pretty calm here in Atlanta. I think it was Nick Cellini called them just a bunch of losers. That's the culture. The culture is losing for sure. Air, good to see you. Thank you for becoming a member. That means a lot. Be like Air. You can, if you're on YouTube, you can find the link or you can hit the join button. It really helps us get through the dog days. When sometimes the traffic can go up and down, the membership does a lot to keep the lights on and really support the Falcons podcast and what that I'm doing here. And I try and give it back to you, not just say a big thank you, but also offering up, we had a members only video yesterday with some of the roster moves that were made. So thank you very much. Michael Dickerson feels like a newer name to the super chat. So thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. He says, I've officially given up on Kyle Pitts. Not worth the option. The option on him, he's already on his 5th-year option. So that was this year. He's already been in the league 5 years, brother. It was the tag. Rise up Penix or Ritter or whatever he calls himself, Bijan, Falcons, likes to ask those questions to Engagement Farm. Do you think Kyle Pitts has done enough to earn a long-term contract? And I don't care what kind of season Kyle Pitts had this year. I've told y'all this 1,000 times. I am not giving Kyle Pitts a long-term contract after this year. I'm not doing it. I don't care if he went for 1,500 yards and 20 touchdowns. I'm not giving him a 5-year, $100 million contract with 80 guaranteed. I'm not doing it. I'm tagging him. I'm absolutely tagging him and making him do it again. Prove it to me. I'm not giving you a long-term contract. Prove it to me that you're in it for the long haul, that you're mature enough and you love this game enough to go back to back. Prove it to me. I don't think he'll be an Atlanta Falcon next year. He's going to have some options out there and he might want a fresh start. He'll be 25 years old as he's going through free agency. Long-term, hell, nobody's giving him a long-term contract. He might get a 1 year, $7 or $8 million, or a 2-year, 15 with 1 year of it guaranteed, with 7 or 8 guaranteed. That's a 1-year deal. He's cost himself a bunch of money. He's cost himself a bunch of money. Tight ends got paid this offseason. Here's a great question. How do we say this? The 7 sicko, the 7, is that short for anything? The DA7 sicko, thank you for the super chat. He says, why is Penix on a different game plan than Cousins? Cousins comes in, first play is under center. He gets a quarterback sneak. After the quarterback sneak, they go to tempo. Have we seen any of that with Michael Penix? Why? Exactly. This is a great question. Why? How are you supposed to be good if you're putting in different game plans? If you're practicing 2 different things with your backup and your starter? Why? Another great question. I don't have an answer for it. Sorry, I wish I did. Oh, we could do this. Michael Penix is more comfortable in the shotgun out of the pistol. It's not working. Does he look comfortable out there? He was having a pretty good game in the first half. And then he was there was something I called out. I put it in my takeaways. The Falcons had an amazing stat. Being good on third down usually means you're pretty good on first and second down. The Falcons had 17 first downs in the first half. That's incredible. That's a lot. They only went to third down 3 times. That is amazing. They were 2 for 3. When they come out in the second half on their first drive, once they finally got the ball back after 3 straight possessions from the Panthers, 1 to close the half. The Falcons ran 2 plays to run at the half. That doesn't count. They get the ball on the kickoff, And then I think it was Brooks. Again, I'm probably going to call him Natron Means. Just if you hear me say Beans, I mean Brooks. Brooks fumbles a kickoff. And that was one of three that bounced the wrong way. Agnew fumbled a ball. In the first half, I don't remember who fumbled it. Was it Bijan? It was probably Bijan, Drake, or Penix. Those are the only three guys that touched the ball. Fumbled the ball, and it bounced the right way when it could have gone a different direction. I don't have an answer for you, but I see Penix get up to the line of scrimmage. It was 3rd and 2. So you were successful. You had a successful play to get to 3rd and short. Get up to the line of scrimmage with 18 seconds left on the clock. He's in the shotgun. So be it. Whatever. Their 2 inside backers show blitz. They come up to the field. He calls a check. Has time to do that. And the next play is just a quick little out. Drake fills the hole where the 2 backers blitz. Easy pitch and catch. First down. Easy money. That same drive. It's 3rd and 10 after a penalty. Michael Penix gets walloped on a sack. We don't see him again. Side jar. I know. Curtis Case says we need to draft a second cornerback and a linebacker. Okay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Every story you love, every invention that moves you, every idea you wished was yours, all began as nothing. Just a blank page with a blinking cursor, asking a simple question. What do you see? Great ideas start on Mac. Find out more on apple.com/Mac.
For me, wide receiver's bigger one. Darnell Mooney is done. He's been done. He never showed up this season. He broke a collarbone, which was finally revealed. We knew he was hurt he was hurt all training camp. Not bad enough where he was IR'd, but he has not come back. He hasn't been back since last season. He finished the last couple games hurt, if I'm not mistaken. He hasn't been back since week 14 of 2024. Darnell Mooney is done. There is a $7.5 million savings. You can probably do a little more if you split it across 2 seasons if you want. There's $7.5 million savings on Darnell Mooney's contract next year when you cut him. You take on $11 million dead. He had an $18 million cap hit. You save $7 million. That needs to be invested in a wide receiver. And right now, my number one spot is probably with a second-round pick would be wide receiver also. You can't keep going out there with Casey Washington, David Sills, Darnell Mooney. They did run a lot more 12 personnel today, and it was effective. It really was. So I mentioned Curtis, some of the adjustments we wanted to see made. The first one, make sure you got your defensive lineman, and being shorthanded on the defensive line against the Indianapolis Colts was stupid. We saw LaCale London. We saw Kentavious Street. They didn't play last week. Done. Shut down the Panthers in the first half. A second one was no more JD Bertrand. You know, you can't keep having him on the field. No more JD. I don't remember seeing him on the field on defense at all. Ronnie Harrison played much better. And to your point, you need to get your linebacker back. You need to get Devine back. That'll help. And you need a legit third backer. We can't count on Troy Anderson. We know it's not JD Bertrand. Ronnie Harrison's doing what he can, but he was claimed off the street. You know, you need a little bit more an investment there. And Curtis, I think you need 2 more wide receivers. You need another linebacker. And assuming Caden Ellis comes back, y'all remember, he's a free agent. Man, I can't wait to see what Walker can do. Walker might be the replacement for Caden. If Caden goes out and gets a $15 million contract, is he coming back? The Falcons going to re-sign him, or are they going to put money in somewhere else? Do they have the money? They don't have just freewheeling money to spend because they're not great at managing the salary cap. So Caden Ellis might not be back, and for me, he's your MVP on defense this year. So you need 2 corners, 2 wide receivers, and another linebacker, assuming you even get Caden Ellis back. The third one of those, what was the third one? It was more 12 personnel. If you want to run the ball and work off the run, what good is it having David Sills and Casey Washington on there? I think I added it up. And I think there were 7 in the last 4 games, or 7 catches for 83 yards combined for your 2 and 3 wide receivers. Why are you playing 3 wide receivers when you only have 1? Get Charlie Warner out there. And it worked. It worked in the first half. So those were my 3. Those were my 3 that I saw them adjust. And I saw it work in the first half. We saw it work. Dominated the first half. What else is one that we need to see changed? Marquise Williams in the return game. Games. Kickoff return, kickoff coverage, punt return, punt coverage. Abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. And those are costing you games. Those are absolutely costing you games. How many times the Falcons have been in 1-score games? How many times now? Back-to-back weeks in overtime. And you're having the same special teams mistakes come up over and over again. Again, a microcosm for the Falcons season this year. Overtime. The Panthers win the toss. Guess what? They took the ball. Duh. They took it. They kick off. Brooks reads it wrong, bounces through the end zone, get the ball in the 20. Average starting position this year is like the 33 or 35-yard line. So that's basically you just got a personal foul and move yourself back 15 yards through a mental mistake. An eligible man downfield on a screen pass. It took a little too long to develop on Ryan Newsel. That's as unlucky. It took too long to develop, and it's with a backup quarterback in there. Penalty. And then, let's see. And then a Kyle Pitts drop, and then an incompletion to Kaderil Hodge. 5-game losing streak. Smack my head. 5-game losing streak. Again, golly, I feel so much like Charlie Brown every year. We see this false dawn. It's 3 years in a row. 2023, they go down and take first place over after beating Tampa. Collapse. Last year, they beat, was it Tampa at home to move to 5-3, and then I think Dallas to move to 6-3. 2.5-game lead. Collapse. This year, 3-2. You beat the Bills at home, dominate the Bills at home. You haven't won a game since. 5 straight losses. Beasley, thank you so much for the super chat. Dictator Jace, wow, coming in hot pink. So I certainly appreciate the support you're coming in with. That will definitely keep the lights on, keep this big forehead nice and shiny for you. He says, "Hey Scott," and he's a member, so that feels new also. If you're a new member, thank you so much. Even if you're an old member, thank you. It all helps, brother. Hey, Scott, been a long-time listener on my truck drives in the Pacific Northwest. This game was the final straw with coaching for anyone with half a brain. When can we expect a clean house? I like Seattle's offensive coordinator as our new head coach and Trey Brown as our new GM. I'm not sure I haven't studied GMs that much. I like what Baltimore does as far as the draft. I'm always like, oh, there's this guy I like. He's really awesome. Yeah, Baltimore took him. Remember Travis Jones? He's about to be a $20 million guy in free agency. He fell to the middle of the second. Guess who gets him? Baltimore, naturally. Defensive tackle. I like, and the problem is the Chargers just cleaned out the Baltimore Ravens staff. I historically like what the Steelers do. It's, they might need a refreshing, and that might be one of the problems there. George Payton's done a good job with the Denver Broncos. Remember, they took on a record high dead cap hit with $80 million, 50-something last year, 35 this year. I think they took on $85 million and split it across 2 years, and they're going to make the playoffs in both seasons. How does that happen? It happens on hitting on Jonathan Cooper in the 7th and Nick Bonito with the 60th pick. Jonah Ellis, who was taken after Braylon Trice and leading the NFL by 2 touchdowns and sacks. It's crazy. When can you expect a house cleaning? And here is what I'm going to say for every Falcon fan out there that's gnashing their teeth because it's the SOS on 2, the same old stuff. It's not going to be a house cleaning unless Rich McKay goes too. I'm with you on that. I am. Well, he's not involved in day-to-day operations anymore. Yeah. Why is he going to Germany with the team? Why is he doing interviews for the team? Why is he talking about sitting in meetings? He's still there. How involved is he going to be in picking the next coach? There's going to be some options. The offensive coordinator for Seattle, Kubiak. Kubiak's going to be a head coach next year. He's been phenomenal. You go Kubiak. What about Stefanski, Cleveland Browns? Seattle really going, or as Cincinnati really going to move on from Zach Taylor? Mike McCartney's floor with Dallas has been the Falcons' ceiling since 2017. People, he's broken. Is he? Maybe. I don't know. I'd like to find out. There's more. Mike McDaniels is an offensive coordinator. Mike McDaniel as an offensive coordinator. Joe Brady will get an interview for Buffalo. There's offensive guys out there, and if you want to maximize your investment in Michael Penix, you cannot hire another defensive guy. You can't do it. You can't. Because anybody that you get that's worth a damn on offense is going to leave. Ask Matt Ryan what it's like having a different offensive coordinator every 2 years. So Dictator Jace, thank you so much for that. I certainly appreciate it. Some of the positives here. James Pierce looked phenomenal today. Billy Bowman was back. Loved him. They changed things up a little bit. They went a little heavier. Brandon Dorlus was a little more outside. He was playing a 3-4 end type of position more so this week. I don't think he was as effective. Rook was okay. Onyemata was okay. Liked seeing the energy that Kobe Bryant brought to the run game, and then we never saw him again. Jesse Bates didn't have his best game. Caden Ellis was hot and cold. On the offensive side of the ball, Bijan Robinson is a joy to watch. That said, in short yardage situations where it's super tight, I think we see why Tyler Algier is the preferred running back. You cannot stop. You can't. Barry Sanders is probably my all-time favorite running back, and he was pulled in 1st and goal. It's just, that's the kind of style is that he has, that I would rather have Tyler on short yardage situations than I would rather have Bijan. That said, also, if Kirk Cousins can get under center, why can't Michael Penix? I don't have an answer for you for that. Why can't I run a sneak with Michael Penix and I can run one with Kirk Cousins? I don't know. I don't. And it's frustrating. Those are the questions that we may never get answered because this staff's history. This staff is history. 3-7. I rewrote this stuff. The story that I posted right at the gun. I rewrote the intro and out 2 or 3 times based on it going back and forth. Falcons had this game won. They had it won. Just kill the game off. You had it won. Was it 24-18? That wasn't what it was. 24-19. I don't remember what the score was for sure. Apologies. They had it won. They absolutely had the game won. And, my questions going in are like, okay, they won. Carolina's probably the best team they're going to face over the next 2 weeks. But do you have any faith that they can go on the road and win in New York and win in New Orleans too? Because if they did that, they'd be 6-6. Wow. You're 6-6 and looking good. Instead, you're 3-7 now and your season's over. It is over. The gut reaction. The gut reaction for this is it's over for Raheem Morris. It's got to be. It's got to be. That's my gut reaction. Let's see here. Terry, good to see you. I want to go through some of y'all's comments now. Terry just came in and says, Raheem probably lasts until we lose to the Saints. Arthur as well. Arthur, as well as the rest of the nation, sees us in last place in the NFC South. He'll have no choice once that happens. It's coming. Zach Hubbard, good to see. Thanks for the super chat. He says, I'm late to the party, but do you think Mr. Find a Way, man, and and Zach Robinson are gone yet? I don't. They may remember Jimmy Lake, who was architect of the worst coach defense I've ever seen, lasted until the end of the year, and they just quietly stripped him of what he was doing. Zach Robinson, well, we do some things really well. It's oh goodness, find a way. I think hopefully he's been told and he'll hear that himself. When someone says you repeat yourself really often, all of a sudden it becomes a trigger in your mind and you catch yourself. And last week I said on Monday, his post-game press conference had figure it out and find a way 11 times on 12 questions. 11 times. Got to find a way. The only thing they're finding a way is finding a way to lose creatively in every different ways. Let me see. I had some of the members had a good question in here about the sacks and the defense in there. I want to get to that. Let me see who that was. Rusty, good to see you. He says, I put 75 on us and cash out in the third for 90. Very smart. When it looks like you're going to win. You've been around long enough. B-side, good to see you. He says, I'm happy for this loss, so we don't have to keep dragging out the inevitable. Yeah, you don't. The false hope is gone. It has to change. Michael Dickerson. He says, we once again made Young look like a Hall of Fame quarterbacks back-to-back years. Can we hire a defensive coach? 2 straight drafts with all defense. Let me see here. Where was it on here? B-side, it was time to fire Raheem a long time ago. Where was it here? Trenton, he's here. I think it was your question, Trenton, that I wanted to read. It was. So, Trenton, thanks for being a member. He says, Scott, am I wrong for not being impressed by the sack total? The D is not good. It starts up front, and I understand the injuries, but I haven't seen any changes in 5 weeks. San Francisco exposed us, and no counters for us. The defense, the pass rush absolutely affected this game. It did. If the offense was worth a damn, they would have put the game away. They got us. Where was it that I want to give the Falcons crap for the Natron Brooks fumble, but the Falcons held. They held. The defense held. They didn't score. They went for it on fourth down. You got Dave Canales chasing points through the whole game, going for it on 4th and goal instead of easy chip shot field goals, going for 2 points when they shouldn't. The defense came up big in those situations. If you've got an offense with a killer instinct and that's good, they go down and they put the game away. The defense did enough. Are they shorthanded? Yes. Are they a great defense? No. Did they do enough to win this game through the course of 3 quarters until they let Carolina hang around and they ran out of gas? Yes. How many plays was it again for this team? I think it was about 75 total plays that they ran. So let's see, team stats. The Carolina Panthers were about 33% on 3rd down. They were 3 for 5 on 4th down. That's a problem. Total plays. They ran 75 plays. The Falcons only ran 58 last week. Just in case we think this is a thing. Last week, we know how bad the team was. They were 0 for 8 on 3rd down. And the Colts ran 74 plays. That's 75 plays in back-to-back games. Let me just randomly choose another game here. Let me see, who do I have a final from? I got Miami and Washington. That was the first game today. They ran total plays 64 and 54. So they're playing the equivalent of 2 games, an extra game in this. So I am impressed by the sack total. It's made a difference out there. It really has. Is it a complete defense? No, it's not. They still have to blitz too often. Live by the blitz, die by the blitz is happening. And I promise you it would be a much more fun defense to watch. More big plays for, more big plays against. That's better to me than the 16-play, 80-minute, 9-minute, 80-play, 80-yard, 9-minute drives that we saw last year. But it is not a complete defense by any stretch of the imagination. They need to be bigger up front. I mean, was it Kaleem Reed that was playing a whole bunch because he was the best edge setter, I guess? What we did see, though, what I thought was cool to see was we did see Arnold Ebiketie, we did see Jalen Walker, and we did see James Pierce all on the field in 3rd down situations with Caden Ellis. So you're still in your nickel, but you were in a 2-4-5 on 3rd down. That's okay. And you had all 4 of those guys on the field at the same time. So I didn't have Ronnie Harrison. I didn't have JD Bertrand out there. I had Jalen Walker out there. The 3 linebackers all were crowding the line of scrimmage. Caden Ellis was off. And at the snap, 2 guys rush. Jalen Walker drops out into coverage. We can see more of that stuff. That was good. That was an adjustment that we want to see, that we have seen. So we have seen some adjustments. But poor Natron Brooks was just seeing shadows out there. I mean, it was just diabolical. It really was. Michael Baxter, Raheem should resign. Yeah, that doesn't happen. Basura, Terry, someone sent me a DM to one of my Facebook pages, and that's all they said was trash. I don't think it was you. Becker, JB, maybe it's JB Euchre. Special teams coach gone again. I find it strange that he's still there. I really do. Is there some nepotism thing that we don't know about? Because Raheem didn't hire him. They were terrible on special teams last year, and he's still there. I don't necessarily understand it. I really don't. There's a lot of things I don't understand. And I've said more than once, this team will make you I've made a pretty good living at this through the last 25 years at this profession, because I can predict and prognosticate and notice patterns. This team will leave you scratching your head over and over again. They'll make you wrong so many times because they do things that are so against the grain, so illogical, and so improbable that when you play the percentages with the Atlanta Falcons, you lose. You lose. And it is a little frustrating for sure. We're about 35 minutes into this. Smooth says, why was Hodge in at the end of the game? So I got a text right before I went live that from Garrett Chapman, who, dear friend of the show, who does his own podcast on our channel, said, I've got the London update. So London was probably a little banged up. He took some big shots. Kirk Cousins, Darnell Mooney has been awful this year, but he still took a really tough shot from a Kirk Cousins pass. And Darnell Mooney Drake London about got killed on a 3rd down slant into space hospital ball. So I think London may have been a little banged up at the end of that game too. But there's no depth at wide receiver. If he goes out, I'm going Casey Washington, David Sills, Kaderil Hodge. Really? We started this season with Drake London, should be a Pro Bowler, knocking on the door of 1,000 yards, and Darnell Mooney, big play threat, and coming off a career year and 700 yards, and Ray McLeod. Still got London, and what you might combine for 300 yards from Darnell Mooney and Ray McLeod. The wide receiver depth just dried up. Ray, good to see you. It's been a while. Hope you're doing okay. He says Ritter and Marcus never lost 5 in a row. Well, Arthur Smith was a pretty good coach at getting a scrappy bunch to play hard for him.
Introducing Oakley Meta Vanguard, the new performance AI glasses designed for athletes. With hands-free capture on an action-ready ultra-wide camera, powerful open-ear speakers, and built-in Meta AI that syncs with your Garmin devices for real-time insights while you train. Take your performance to the next level with Oakley Meta Vanguard. Athletic intelligence is here. Learn more on meta.com.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the Dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
He overachieved in 2021 at 7-10. He really overachieved in 2022 at 7-10. And then he really underachieved in 2023 at 7-10. On that one. Getting back to Jimmy, Drake got banged up for sure. Terry, or let's see, who said this was Halsey says Falcons should trade London and Bijan after the season. It's the wrong timeline. Yeah, do you do that? If you could, we talked about this last week or a couple of weeks ago after the Patriots game. If they were to come at you with 2 firsts and a third, would you trade London? I said probably. It's right before the trade deadline. One of the people who loves to hate my podcast, always negative in the comments. There's no way you're getting 2 first rounds for Drake London. Well, if Sauce Gardner, a cornerback in a less valuable position, corner's still a premium position, but look at the paychecks. There's probably 5 to 10 wide receivers making more than the 2 highest paid cornerbacks can get 2 first-round picks. Drake could probably get 2 first-round picks. If he shows indication that he doesn't really want to sign a long-term deal, Tyreek Hill him. Kansas City traded Tyreek Hill and got a haul in return. Not an H-A-L-L, but an H-A-U-L, like U-Haul. Got a haul in return. You don't have enough. You've got 5 draft picks next year. You're 3-7, heading for 5-12. And you're good if you have a new general manager. Don't you think he would like to have some draft picks to play with, rather than going in? I got a 5-12 team, and I'm going to pay a wide receiver $100 million. I don't know, man. I don't. You'd listen. You got to listen. So I pick up the phone for sure. Murphy, good question. He says, why is half the stadium consistently empty? That's embarrassing. And Arthur Blank should be embarrassed on this. When he first took over the Falcons, they were still in the Georgia Dome. They weren't very good, and they weren't selling up these seats up here. For those of you listening, I'm pointing to the upper deck. I have a picture of the stadium behind me. He knocked them down to like $10. He's like, 10,000 people at $10 is worth a whole lot more than 0 at $50. So he knocked these down to $10, and the Falcons have been sold out ever since. When they moved to this stadium, to Mercedes-Benz, they made the same exact mistake the Atlanta Braves made in 1997 when they moved into the Olympic Stadium into Turner Field. They became the highest priced ticket in Major League Baseball. And the only people that were buying these seats down here were corporations. So now you've got the people that are buying these seats in the lower bowl. There's not a ton of Falcons fans down in there because they didn't want to spend $18,000 on PSLs. And companies have picked them up. Resellers have picked them up. And if they can't sell them to other fans coming in, they're empty. The lower bowl is empty. And that's completely on Arthur Blank for outpricing his fans and putting a inferior product on there for almost a decade now. That's why. That's why. They're sold out. The NFL is a valuable property to have. I thought about buying some. My buddy, we graduated college together almost, 30 years ago. He bought SEC championship game tickets. He's had them 30 years. I think he's gone twice. It's an investment, is what it is. It's an investment. But they outpriced Falcons fans is what happened down there for sure. Let's see here. The Bryce is wrong. He says this game highlighted the lack of drafting wide receivers in the early rounds to have solid depth. Wasn't just that though. I mean, there's a lot of it. I would say it shows a bigger problem with that, Bryce. All the trade ups means I'm taking 2 draft picks to get 1 player a lot, several times. There's my depth. There's my depth. It's that, 5th round. Where do you have depth? I got a 5th round pick in Tyler Algier. He's good depth. I hit on one of those guys in the later rounds. They haven't taken a lot of wide receivers, period, on day 1 or 2. They haven't taken a corner on day 1 or 2. So that's 1st, 2nd, 3rd round. They haven't taken a corner since AJ Terrell in the first 2 days of the draft. They haven't taken one. Do you think that didn't show up today? You've spent on non-premium positions in Kyle Pitts, who has been a bust for where he was taken. He's a decent pro, but for relative to where he was drafted, he's been a bust. Whether you think that's his fault or the Falcons' fault, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to argue that point with you. I will argue that he has been a bust for being the highest drafted tight end of all time. And Jose, I agree with you here. Unless you're Portuguese, Jose, then it's Jose. So I'm going to say Jose. Just play the odds here. Should have played Kobe Bryant more. I agree. I agree with you 100%. Ray says we did good in the draft. This season, yes. I think this has been the fifth season has been Terry Fontenot's best draft by far, getting good contributions, and not just contributions, but you're getting playmakers. Like the backbone of your defense looks to be like this rookie class. Billy Bowman can play. Xavier Watts can play. James Pierce and Jalen Walker. That's still only four. It's only four players, and one of them is from your next year's draft. So you really only got, when you talk about hitting on the draft and what I just said about trading up all the time, you got three players in this draft, one for next year that you just fast forwarded. You took out a loan and got him for this year, but that's really only three players because you're spending two players to trade up all the time. I don't talk about it as much with Xavier Watts, but they used a fifth. I said that was actually more expensive to move up 4 spots in the third round. You traded a 5th round pick. That was more expensive than the trade you made to get James Pierce Jr. So they've done okay. Oh, let's see. Once again, you clowns. Who are you calling clowns here? I don't know who you are, CJ. Just Trent. Just remember, I can't tell if you're just an upset Falcons fan or a Panthers fan. A lot of them are going to sound the same at this point. Oh, nope. It sounds like you're, let's go ahead and move you out of here. I actually see that one. Listen, I appreciate, I grew up in recruiting. I talk with other teams' fans for a career. I like having other points of view and conversations. Don't do trash talk. It's just lame. I don't think anybody was trying to hurt Bryce Young. Even when he did get banged up, I still couldn't tell what he hurt exactly. He didn't get piled over or anything. Darnell Mooney on that hospital ball he had, that one catch he made for on a second and 11, he made a nice catch. Golly, he got drilled in the side of the head on a helmet to helmet. I think that's going to cost somebody some money. Let's see. That one's hard to read right now. So I'm just going to say, Gert, should we trade Bates? You're from Belgium. Okay. You do have an interesting name for sure. Should we trade Bates and what we get in return? And Jake, it is past the deadline, but in the off season, I think he's got 1 year left on his deal for 2026. You might have to eat some money to do it, but I think he's pushing 30 now. Let me look him up for sure. He's 28. He's 28 right now. And he is under contract next season. He carries a $24 million cap hit with 18 dead. 13 of that is base salary. So if you could trade him, get somebody in his 29-year-old season. He's a 29-year-old safety. Is he, is a safety with a cap hit of $25 million, a luxury you can afford as you're trying to build up this young team? I don't know. Again, I would ask him, what do you think? I would have to give you a pay cut. He would probably be open to being moved in the off season, and he's not having a great year this year. He says in Clowns 1940, he says he's playing like he's trying to save his body, arm tackling in bad angles. Yeah. And again, he carries a $24 million cap hit next year. I love Jesse Bates. Love him. Nobody should be untouchable on this team. If the right price comes along, you're 3-7. Who's untouchable on this team if the right price came along? If someone made you an offer, one of those you can't refuse offers. For me, probably the most valuable players you have as far as trades go, Drake London, number one. Hell, and then I might go Jalen Walker and James Pierce, 2 and 3, because rookie contracts and the positions are playing that are right there. So, there's not a lot of assets out there. It's as far as because you don't have a lot of your best players at premium positions. You've got Chris Lindstrom at guard, who's very expensive. You got Jesse Bates at safety, who's very expensive. You've got Bijan Robinson. What did the 49ers send to the Panthers? A second round pick, I believe, and they had to pay him $20 million. So, unless you're talking about a young premium position player who has some cost control in him, you don't get a whole hell of a lot in return in a trade. So, and in order to get something back, Scott, you're out of your mind even talking about trading Drake London. We're talking trades. If you're even going to get anything that's worth talking about in a trade, you got to give up something valuable. Most valuable player on your team right now, as far as trading goes, I think it's Drake London. I think he's the only one you could probably get 2 first-round picks for. And then he's going to get paid. He's going to become a top 5 highest paid player probably this offseason. So something to think about. Jerry, good to see you. Thank you for chiming in. He says, guys, I think we need to go to 2 tight ends and just run it down your throat. And then run a little play action off of there. That's what they did in the first half. Charlie Warner was in there. I was keeping an eye on him. He was moving guys off the ball, playing well. And Drake he blocks his ass off. He's just so much fun to watch. He's everything you want in a football player. He really is. I was trying to think of, I don't remember. I think he did, but I was like, what's one of the all-timers comps for Drake? What do y'all think? I was thinking Michael Irvin. I'm like, that's who he kind of reminds me of right now. Michael Irvin. He will block guys through the sideline, and he isn't hugely fast. Speed's not his number one option. And he's just so good. So good. V-Hawk, so what's up, guys? Bryce is better than you thought, I see. Against the Falcons, he's absolutely good. Set a franchise record. After what, last week? He didn't have to do much in the last game, but what's he have? 700 yards and 7 touchdowns in the dome. I'm gonna have to rename the stadium. It's Bryce Young Stadium in Atlanta right now. Is where I'm going with that. Mike Evans is also a good comp for Drake. I love him. I love Mike Evans. He's such a baller. I've always said that I'm a big fan of the bigger receivers because they're always open. And in the blocking game, it makes a difference out there. Clowns Drake reminds me of Mohamed Sanu. Oh, I hope not. Drake's got better skills, I guess is the right word. Body control and hands as far as doing that stuff. He's really good. And Bama QBs love Atlanta. Yeah, about time to get Mac Jones over here. For sure. Maybe the Falcons need to get a Bama QB. Who's the last one they had? Kid from Mobile was a backup with the Miss Alabama wife, McCarron, AJ McCarron. He had a cup of coffee with the Falcons, didn't he? So it's they absolutely do. So I am about to get out of here. So let me know if you've got any last minute burning desires. Again, gut reaction on this for me was, my friend, I told him, hey, I'm going live in 5 minutes. We've been texting all game. He's just like, rip him to shreds. I'm like, I don't know if I even need to anymore. This isn't a rip him to shreds type of moment. This is a calm, collected, it's over. This is, it's not even anger in the stages of grief. You're not angry. You are a little bit, but it's acceptance at this point, isn't it, y'all? You've accepted the fact that this ain't going to happen. Not with this staff. It's just not. 3-7, 5-13 in the last 18 games. I put it on the cover of this show. It's over. This season's over. And I put it in writing at the end of my takeaways on FalconsSI.com. Big changes need to happen. I still think they happen at the end of the year. I don't think Arthur Blank will do it mid-season after 20-something games, 30 games. How many games are there? 17 games totally messed up my math. I think it's over for him. Bijan had 100 yards and still lost. Well, and then the Falcons, there's things to like. There are, there's a lot of good young talent on this team, but the only thing they find a way to do with this staff is they find a way to lose. So, and no, Ulbrich hasn't been. I think Ulbrich's been pretty good, and he won't stay if you clean house, but you don't keep everybody else for a defensive coordinator, that's for sure. And he isn't without his faults out here. I think he's done a good job. I think there are some got to salute that, major depth deficiencies on that side of the ball, at corner, at linebacker. Those are the two big ones. So the back seven, I think there's huge ones. Charlie, he says, what were your Charlie Warner indicator today? In the first half, I think he was on the field the entire first half. So I think he will break the 60%. If y'all don't know what he's talking about, the Falcons are 3-0 when Charlie Warner plays 60% or more of the snaps, and they were 0-5, 0-6. I've lost count how bad they are. 0-7 now. 0-6 going in when he's played less than 60% of the snaps, because if Charlie Warner's playing, usually you're running the ball, and the Falcons are running the ball and dictating on offense. They typically are a pretty good team. I think he was on the field every snap in the first half. I didn't pay as close attention in the second half. I did see some David Sills. I did see some Kaderl Hodge, but I think he probably broke the 60% and lost today for the first time. Let's see here. There's some good comments coming in. Again, Ulbricht's defense has put us in position to win. I think the defense did enough today. If the Falcons' offense was better, they would have put the game away when it was handed to them. After Natron Brooks fumbles that ball in the 5 or whatever it was, probably not. It was probably a little bit up the field more than that. On the 20, deep in their own territory, the Falcons defense held, and they held on 4th down and turned them over without giving up any points. A killer instinct team puts that team away right there and then. But instead, they scored 21 points in the first half and didn't get another point till 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They were shut out. And not just shut out, they weren't moving the ball at all. They weren't shut out. They were shut down. Bijan and Drake both had 100 yards and was still lost on that side of the ball. Special teams is a big one. And again, it came early, and then they were shut down in the second half. Gert, nose tackle is a bigger need. I don't know if it's a bigger need. It's definitely a need. They need to get bigger on the front. Absolutely. If you're going to run a 3-man front, they need a legit space eater up front. It's not David Onyemata. It's not Ruka Ororo. It's not Zach Harrison. It's not Contavious Street. LaCale London's been a practice squad player for the last 2 seasons. So, yes, they need a big space-eating defensive tackle. The problem is, Gert, when we're talking about those guys, those are usually 2-down players at most, sometimes even just first-down players, and then you go to sub-packages. So the guys that we're talking about as a bigger need, corners, they play every down. Wide receivers, they play every down. For me, those are the 2 biggest needs out there, is where I'm spending first. With the limited resources I do have, my biggest needs as a general manager of this team are cornerback and wide receiver. I need linebacker. I need defensive line. I need depth all over the place. But cornerback and wide receiver are the 2 big ones for me. Let me see here. Trenton, appreciate all of the comments and the support you've been doing. OM Studio saying Bobo for OC. Who's the guy they won a couple of championships with? Todd Monken? He's got a guy who put up video game numbers in college, and Lamar Jackson does some really good things, but Monken's been a successful offensive coordinator as well. Somebody to definitely, I would definitely keep an eye on to bring in. So there's names out there for sure that, and again, I think it's over 3-7. There's really no coming back for this. I mean, I set the line at 8-9. I'm not sure. So to go 8-9, what do they have to go? 5-2? You have any faith at all that this team goes 5-2? 2-5 sounds more realistic. 2-5, and they finish 5-12. That sounds about right. That's what NFL Network just changed their season prediction to. They had them at 8-9, I think, for the season. They've changed it to 6-11. 6-11 sounds optimistic at this point, the way this team is playing. You think they want to go on the road? New York can play tight with somebody. You never know what the weather's going to be like up there. Home fans get behind you and they start playing. They start, getting their guts up a little bit. And we know the Saints can always beat the Falcons no matter how bad they are. So we'll see. We'll see. Listen, I want to say thank you to a lot of people that came in today. Michael Baxter several times. Air, be like Air. Become a new member. Give you a shout out. And we do members only videos and chats and stuff. So become a member, support the show, support the channel on YouTube. It's huge for us. Mike Harvey, thank you very much. Michael Dickerson feels like a newer name. The 7 Sicko. Curtis Case is also a member. Thank you so much. Beasley coming in. Zach Hubbard as well. And of course, finally saved the bright hot pink fuchsia for last. Dictator Jace. Glad we're able to help you kill some time out there with the podcasts. Shoot us a comment anytime, and we'll see if we can help you kill some more time. So thanks a bunch, everybody out there. We will be back tomorrow morning with an aftermath. Sleep on it a little bit, but as y'all know, my gut reaction is usually pretty much my reaction after 24 hours too. So, but we'll break it down a little bit more, get into it a little bit more, some of the positives, some of the negatives, beyond the obvious that is kicking us in the face that this staff's got to go. Y'all have a great rest of your night. Enjoy some football. Appreciate everybody. We will see you tomorrow morning.